Hi guys, this is Namkraft. Can you hear me? Welcome to this is Starcraft English comment. You're going to be witnessing another game from the DPL series. Games that are guaranteed to be epic, handpicked by me. This time around, this game is going to get released as usual because we are all dying, anticipating for the upcoming semi-finals, especially the one between Snow and Soulkey, semi-final number 2. That's going to be played on Tuesday, Korean time, 5 p.m. Not so sure exactly what time that is, where you're from. I think a little bit early in the morning for you North Americans people. But yeah, we're gonna be showing a nice game between Snow and Soulkey as part of DPL, just to test their legs, as they say in my culture. They say test someone's legs, meaning how he performs. Mainly it's a reference to soccer, football player, but it could be applied to any sport, so just life in general. Yeah, so let's see what kind of builds these two players are preparing. Of course, in these kind of DPL's game, the stakes are real. It's real money they're playing with, not crypto. Not any kind of those Starcraft ranking elo points that nobody cares about. But real money, but still, right, with the ASL on the line, I don't think that Soulkey, especially Soulkey, would not risk coming out with some crazy inventive build, because we want to save it for the right moment, for this king of king in the north, Jon Snow here. Of course, he's the favorite to win Soulkey, I think, against Snow. So let's see how he's going to be performing. It's like the knightly king, right? In Games of Thrones, fighting against Jon Snow. The odds are slim. You need to get Arya stuck in the right moment with a knife, and she would be able to kill the knightly king. But other than that, expect Snow to lose here. The map is going to be Polestar. Let me just quickly show you the map stats. Here are the map stats, and as you can see, Polestar is 44.9% win rate for Protoss players, so not very good. And it just quickly show you what the map photo looks like. Give me a second. There it is. Snow is going to be located at the bottom left corner of the screen in the red color, and Soulkey is going to be located at the bottom right in the green color. This is Soulkey's first-person viewpoint. So yeah, we want to see what is behind the mastermind of the Zerg race. Like, what is the hive, the ultimate mother of swarm thinking, right? And we want to see if we can learn something from the builds. Of course, you can see the APM rate right now for Soulkey is not very high. It's just the beginning of the game, and I feel like Soulkey is that kind of a player. He doesn't really reveal his true monstrous intentions until he actually casts a live game. And I think that is to a certain extent true of all players. They want to hide their best moves for the real tournaments. But I think especially Soulkey, we've seen that sometimes Soulkey doesn't even participate in DPL games or KCM for weeks. I feel like that's because he's preparing for his real tournament. But maybe he's feeling very comfortable now that he's going to be able to defeat Snow. And he even said in his interviews post-game of the quarterfinals that he want to make Snow cry again. I was not aware that Snow was crying the last time, but yeah, as you know, I always turn off my stream before the crying begins. Anyway, 3 hatch incoming here from Soulkey. He's going to be facing, was it a gateway? I think the Forge might have been inside. No, the Forge is going to be outside. Zerlings are en route. We have about 6 Zerlings. The Zealot's gonna pop. Do we have the Zealot somewhere on this map? I guess. Okay, there it is. 2 more Zealots that were hiding behind that Overlord's vision. But now I think it's gonna be very clear to Soulkey that he needs to make more Zerlings, because we might have a 3 Zealot attack incoming. Once again, let me tell you, the map is Polestar. On this map, if you look at the spawning position, it will help Snow to go for drops in the mid to late game against his main base. He could easily access it with speed shuttle or just normal shuttles even. But let's see if he's gonna attempt that, because we don't see a lot of shuttles in PvZ. Since the days of Stalk versus GG play, where shuttle reavers and coursers were the norm. But nowadays we just see very standard armies from Protoss, Zealot heavy, a lot of Dragoon to protect against Mutualist, sometimes Dark Archon to protect against Maelstrom to protect against High Templar Snipe, but that's about it. Anyways, let me just quickly review some elo stats that we have for this week to see where these players are standing. So here, the top 10 players in Broodwar, you can see Soulkey is number 3 and Snow is number 4. Oh no, that's not really what I want to show you. I guess I'll just quickly show you something else. Do I have something else to show? I guess I don't. I just want to show you quickly the performances in ASL for these players. This is a little bit more, I think, pertinent, right? This is going to be the players with the best accomplishment so far in the entire history of 18 ASLs. So Flash has got 4 golds and Soulkey's got 3. If he wins one more, he will not yet be able to dethrone Flash yet because he's got 4 golds and 1 bronze only, Soulkey, whereas Flash has got 4 golds, 1 silver, and 2 bronzes. So we take at least 2 more seasons for Soulkey to be able to dethrone Flash successfully. But anyway, so there's going to be some Xehanort versus Zerling action in the beginning. Very, very healthy drone saturation for Soulkey, who was, he was making, I think, just the right number of Zerling, not more. And he's still threatening that, he might come up with more Zerlings. So this is the reason why Snow is keeping the rest of his Zealot at home. We all know the APM level of Snow is not very high. And finally, Zerg with speed kicks in, and that's going to be the signal, I think, for Snow to return with the rest of his infantry here. More hatcheries coming down. I was not able to spot the... Okay, this is going to be Spire coming up out of 5 hatcheries. So this is going to be not an attack on the air for now. He's going to possibly make a couple of Scourge and then just stay home and protect his economy, his wartime economy. I mean, I guess this is a very standard strategy here. In these kinds of... real life games like this on DPL, sometimes we want to see very, very strong builds. But like I mentioned, there is going to be a tendency for Snow to keep, as well as Soulkey, and as well as Snow to keep their builds safe and protected. Anyway, Zerlings are going to try to find any kind of incoming Zealot from the back to snipe them one by one. Not able to do so. These Zealots going to start to move forward, and Soulkey is thinking about starting to make some more Zerglings now. He's put down the Hydra, and he might put on the Sunkens. He's delaying the Sunken as much as possible. There is going to be some Scourges. We don't even see the Corsairs. So what's up with that? Does that mean that he skipped Corsairs? So we've seen some builds in the past where one player skipped Corsairs to go for faster Zealot attack with legs, and sometimes we've seen in other instances where we've seen just a little bit delayed Corsair, so he doesn't get the first Overlord, but he does get the upcoming attacks. So anyways, the Scourge is going to try to check, and looks like Soulkey is going to be a little bit careful here. He wants to make sure there's going to be no Zealot with leg attack with early +1. So he will make some mutas to come out to defend. And I don't know what is going on inside of Snow's main base, but I could suspect that this is going to be just late Corsairs, not 0 Corsairs. He's making some from his target. And as you can see, Mutualists are possibly numbering around 5. I think there's at least a pair of Scourge, if not 2, mixing with that group. He's going to be looking for that Corsairs. Where are the Overlords? We can see the Overlords somewhere on this map. Zealot's going to get surrounded. They're going to, I guess, pull back. It's still going to be able to protect with the cannon, but he might lose one Zealot. The Corsair out there, and the Scourges are about to go to the attack. But anyways, as you can see where the Overlords, there is one. There's another. I think that's the third one. There might be one here. Yeah, this is going to be Overlord. So very nice concentration of Overlords, and one Corsair was about to get sniped by the Clone Scourge, but both the players turned back at the right moment. So very... Okay, what is Soulkey doing? He's putting a hatchery in a very strange location and wasting precious time for that. And as you can see, he was not very happy with his own micro there, or rather building placements. But the game will go on. The game will go on. This is the 8-minute mark of the game, and 72 supply for Soulkey. I would say that Snow's got possibly 90 supply at this point. We're going to be seeing a small, slow but steady transition into Hydras. At this number of Hydras, it's going to be just enough to hold here. I like the fact that one of the hatcheries is a little bit back at the third base. I'm not so sure what is the intent and purposes there. Usually you want to be able to have the hatchery at the front to protect the drones against kind of, Xehanort run by. But this will also protect against a mid to late game attack where Dragoons are going to have to reach further to snipe some hatcheries maybe. So that's that. But anyways, for the time being, massive Hydra is going to be coming out here. I like Soulkey's position a lot. He has not lost anything. He's lost just a couple of Zerlings. His economy is doing well, but Snow has not lost anything at all. He was allowed to go by with just one cannon for a while, but now he might have more cannon. We're having a small attack here, and a single Archon is doing good damage. But look at the large amount of Hydras from the back, and so it's going to have to back up. During this time, we might have a threat of Dark Templar slipping through at some point. We actually don't see what exactly Snow's going to try to do with that. But anyways, he's first going to go and hide here on high ground. It looks like the Archon might get sniped upon, and indeed they will start the attack. But there might be a Nexus behind that. No, it looks like the Mutualists have been microed imperfectly here. Anyways, the Archon's going to get targeted upon. The Archon will fall. And finally, the Corsairs are right, but the Hydra is going to start to attack against the Corsair. Good for Snow to pull back. And we have a Dark Templar in the mist, guys. It's going to try to do some damages on the Hydralisk. And at the last minute, it looks like Snow is going to be able to press his enemy back a little bit here. There are only 2 Corsairs remaining. Very good micro from both of these players. Where are they? Is there a Dark Templar somewhere attacking Soulkey's main base? He's checking furiously. But no, there isn't any. There are Overlords in every single location. So I think he's doing just fine. And now the question is this. Does Soulkey want to go out there and start to make another hatchery somewhere on this map and start to go up to that 4-base economy? Because his initial, I would say, a kind of a victory. He was able to kind of eliminate that group of Zelle, but the next group has started to move across the map. You can see them in the minimap, and this drone's going to try to come out to go for an expansion. There's a small attack here. Not mini. Snow's going to have to pull back a bit and try to wait for more defenses. His Corsair fleet is still doing not bad. Not bad at all, and still trying very, very hard to keep these mutualists at bay and pushing the Zealots back. There's about 4 Corsairs. Some Zealots gonna try to go towards the top right corner of the screen, a small detachment of Zealots, and knowing that Soulkey is gonna turn around with the rest of his army, the hatchery is gonna go down. We're gonna be having a surround from both sides, plus the mutualists are looking to attack. Very good mind games and pulling back and forth between these 2 players, and these mutualists, even though they're only 3, they can still to chip away at the shield. But anyways, this next attack is looking dangerous. I feel like, yeah, Soulkey might be slightly up position. He doesn't have lurker technology yet, so finally he's going to be able to arrive from one side. And I really like the fact that Soulkey is still keeping his mutualist, I think, afloat. I think he's got 3, but he might have lost 1 or 2 in the last engagement. Anyways, yeah, there's only 1 single mutualist going to try to check for the expansion at the 830 position with that single damage mutualist. He will see that there is a group of cannons that's going to back up. Very, very smart from him to keep the mutualists alive. I mean, it's that single mutualist cannot do any kind of damage, but as a scouting unit is very useful. Zelle's gonna get pushed back, and he's looking for some high templars. Maybe he's looking for some dark templars. Finally, we're gonna be seeing lurkers morphing now. With lurkers on the field, we need to see some observers. I guess Snow is not gonna be that delayed with lurkers, with observers. Anyways, there's gonna be some nice defense here, and Probe's gonna get transferred successfully. So both the players gonna transition into late game. Good dive, and that was a really not needed storm there. That storm could have been waited for a little bit longer. Anyways, Dragoon's gonna get sniped. 2 Dragoons gonna snipe is a good thing. We might have Hydralisk coming from the other side. Zelle's gonna attack now. Hydra's gonna dive in. Good attack from both of these players, and lurkers are here. So Snow's Dragoons force have to fall back, and he want to try to snipe the lurker. He gets a lurker. He's not able to get it. The lurkers is still alive. There's going to be some attack against the Forge. You want to force cancellation on this Forge. The Forge will fall very quickly, and that's going to put Snow slightly behind here with the upgrades. Indeed, the Forge has cancelled the upgrade, I think. Anyway, he's going to attack. He's gonna look for some cannons, but good attack from both sides. But keep in mind, the observers are not yet done. There's a Robo. We can see it in the back. Some Zealots attacking from the other side of the map, but looks like at the last minute, these cannons are going to come through, and Snow is going to be running out of cannon. He's got 2 cannons in the area. He's going to have to make more. He storms as well, but he completely misses. Zealots attacking the main, the expansion. Not so sure exactly why this point. It might have been better to actually go for another hatchery. The 3rd base, or potentially the 4th base, because maybe Snow doesn't know about the presence of the 4th base. Yes, Dragoon's gonna come out. Okay, that's the observatory, not the robotics. So I guess observer should be coming up very soon in about 10 to 15 seconds. But for now, Snow is able to hold his 3 bases. Probes have been transferred, but he's kind of lost a lot of precious time, and he lost his cannon at the front. He lost his Forge as well. There's gonna be some nice attack. We might have a good storm to drive the Hydras back. So looking forward to snipe some forces here, but that was a bad micro, I think, from Snow, from Soulkey, but he's still able to penetrate, and the gateway has fallen. The observer he's gonna try to snipe the observer. He does snipe it, but the next observer will be coming out very quickly, I think. Dragoon's coming out, and yeah, Snow is gonna have to micro his forces a little bit better. There are no observers at the 4th base. Keep that in mind. You know, in these kind of intense moments, sometimes the Protoss player like to slip out a Dark Templar. Looks like Snow is going to lose the Hydra. He casts a good storm to drive those Hydras back, and major battles happening. And finally, I think the next observer is here. And so Snow is going to come out, but another Hydra is going to get sniped. So he comes through. Nice attacks. But I think at the last minute, Snow would hold. And the number of Hydras have dwindled. Supply-wise, 94 for Soulkey. I would say Snow maybe around 110. At this point, because it seems to be a fairly even trade between the 2 players, but Snow has depleted a lot of ground forces, whereas Zerg can just keep on remaking that hatchery goes on. So that's, I think that's 8 hatcheries now. There are 3 here, 2-3 more in the main expansion. So that's 6 plus 2 is going to be about 8 hatcheries economy from Soulkey. Very, very nice. And he's going to try to stop the potential next phase. You know, sometimes we see the Zerg player put a lurker behind the minerals and just keep it on stop motion. I haven't seen a kind of strategy for a while, but that is a very nice strategy to gain some mid-game advantages. And now, like I mentioned to you, the threat of drop from Protoss is imminent. Definitely real. There is a threat of Protoss moving along this line and maybe Dart or Zealot to snipe the Spire. The Spire would be a key infrastructure to get sniping. Anyways, this lurker is not on hold. Yeah, maybe like I said, he wants to keep the surprises for the real game. You know, that is going to be coming, because sometimes when a strategy has not been used by one players for a while, you know, the other players, the community tend to forget about it. I mean, they know in the back of their head that that strategy may exist, but because you are not accustomed to it, you don't really prep against it. I think that is a Queen's Nest and expansion there. Yeah, that is possibly a Queen's Nest. So another base by Snows is going to come up for the time being. I think Soulkey is on the back foot because technology wise he's a little bit kind of inferior to the enemy, but he's going to try to control the high ground here just right outside of Snow's expansion, and he's going to try to move to this because there could be a potential to go for a kind of a second front. Snow could send some Zealots along these lines to attack against the fourth base. While Soulkey would think that there's no attack against his main. Anyhow, there's going to be some cannons coming up, but the next group of Hydras start to move across the map. I believe that the cannons would not be finished on time. If Soulkey can force some cancellation there, and some cannons would be great. A Dart has been spotted. It gets one Hydra, it gets nothing. It looks like there's going to be Dragoons to support here, and this force is going to get pushed back. But the attack against the front door is looking imminent. We might have a storm, but it doesn't have energy. Good storm, but it looks like good pullback. And these courses are still alive. I love it. I love the fact that courses must be alive at all time, because there could be a threat of drop, especially, I guess in despawning position, it's actually not very useful for Soulkey to drop. You need to access the main corridor right here if you want to drop, and that is usually not possible. That area is going to be patrolled by the Protoss forces. Anyways, a fifth base coming up for Soulkey as Snow has completed his fourth one. He's probably transferred the probes already. So very strong economy for both the players. We're going to be looking forward to nice epic battles with the macro orientation, namely launch of high temperatures with energy upgrade, Defiler with Darkstorm. We might even have Reavers. I love to see Snow's Reavers. He used to play a lot of Reavers against Zerg in the ASL season 17, sometimes season 18 we've seen. Great games of Snow vs Soulkey and Blitzwide that made great use of Reavers and Shadow. But as you know, the problem with Reavers and Shadow is that the economy of scale and maybe just the efficiency of production goes backwards over time, because Reavers cost Scarabs and Scarabs cost money, whereas high temperatures don't cost anything at all in terms of money, cost almost nothing. When you get to the late game with 5 or 6 bases at Protoss, gas is very cheap. You can get a lot of gas even with the depleted guys. We're going to be having a nice attack here in this middle corridor, but this is going to be just a small attack. There's no way that Snow will be able to penetrate that, but he's with his 3 courses, is still roaming out there. I think it's going to be the moment for Snow to keep his courses back and not waste them needlessly in the middle of the battle by Hydras sniping them. Anyways, I also like the fact that Soulkey is keeping tab on Snow's new base, but that is going to be the 6 o'clock position. This base coming up is going to be a problem here, because it's going to give Snow a shorter air resupply route. High Temper is going to come out, and looks like Zelle is trying to snipe High Temper, not able to success, and Lurkers is going to get mauled in the front line, but there's going to be a next line of Lurkers waiting. There are no Defilers just yet, but I think right now Soulkey doesn't need Defiler. He seems to be quite comfortable with his entrenched position. We're going to be having some nice storms now. Lurkers need to redeploy towards the southern line. Nice attacks. It's going to be a moment for Snow to pull back now. He doesn't need to waste any more shield to this attack. He just need to gain his high ground and just stay there. Surrounding from the back though, both sides. But there's enough storm to get ready. I think there is enough storm, but looks like the front army has lost the high ground advantage. Snow's gonna have to pull back, or maybe need to just move to the right to hold the high ground position to get that 1/3 miss shot imposed upon Soulkey. At the last minute, it feels like Snow is barely holding. He might lose his Dragoons now. Good storm once again just to buy time, but looks like the number of storm is going to exhaust. And both of the players have traded blows. 162 supply for Soulkey. So I would say that he's got possibly a little bit about the same, or maybe just about 10 supply more, because Soulkey Soulkey's economy is booming. He's having nice armies, nice, well, I guess upgrade wise, what are we saying? Not so sure. We'll check that momentarily for you, but I think at least Snow's got a 5th base, which is good. At the 6 o'clock position, we don't see it yet. It might have already been planted, it might not. And this is going to be the moment to find out, because Soulkey is going to look forward to send a small group of forces there. Nice upgrades coming up for both these players, and looks like the Defiler attack has already completed with the upgrade, so he's going to be able to cast Dark Swarm and Plague momentarily. Nice attack once again. There's a single lurker, and Observer is there. He's trying to snipe that lurker. No, and that's he's gonna pull back, and Crackling's coming from the northern side. It's gonna be a nice one storm. They need to cast a storm on that. Dark Storm right now, he doesn't cast it. He's gonna pull back. Or maybe he casts it, I'm not so sure. But anyhow, more forces coming from both sides. Very, very epic games. And it is at this moment that I'd like to start to thank some of my fans, the support of whom would be very, very needed for me to survive at this point. I'm just gonna quickly show you the photo. Mr. What is his face here? Sea Gobbler, and I'm sorry your photo is a little bit out of focus or positioning order. There's gonna be some major attack, but keep that on hold because I need to honor this young man, this sailor, Mr. Sea Sailor or Sailor Gobbler. Thank you for your support in the last 30 days. The next person I'd like to thank is gonna be Mr. Peter from Sweden as well. What's going on with you, man? Any plans for this weekend? Or I guess the weekend is already underway, and the last person is gonna be Mr. Red Terran Raid, and that is gonna be it with the nice fan appreciation that we have shown. We're gonna get right back to this game now. Look, it looks like it's going to be the 20th minute mark of the game. 178 supply for Soulkey. Nice attack. There's gonna be some lurker morphing, and looks like this high ground advantage has been abandoned by Snow. Lurkers coming through. There need to be a storm on that group of Defiler on the southern side, surrounding from both sides. Looks like at the last minute, maybe Snow has got enough to hold. Attack is coming in, because if this attack is successful, it will give access towards the 6 o'clock position, and that is not what Snow wants to have. This Defiler attack is this Dark Storm is still valid, but now it's no longer valid. There's gonna be some observers getting sniped. Very nice. More storms gonna attack, and looks like there's just too much Zerg for Protoss to hold. He's lost another high ground, and this base has got a high temperature. So at the last place, Soulkey's gonna have to fall back, or maybe he will fall back. I'm not so sure. He's waiting. Maybe he's waiting for his Defiler to arrive in the scene. And an Archon's gonna get targeted upon. Very, very epic battle. So wait, what happened? I think there's a Dark Templar decided to move across the map, but like some of you have mentioned, for some unknown reason, Soulkey can always know when a Dark Templar arrives. He just have that kind of killer Defiler instinct there, almost Queen's instinct. Because Queens are a Zerg thing, right? Anyways, there's going to be more forces coming out, and it looks like Soulkey has been pushed back a little bit, but Snow has not taken on the base. Good trade between these two players. Keep in mind that if this base goes down to the wire, this game goes down to the wire, then the fact that Protoss keeps the 6 o'clock position means that they will win in terms of in the war of attrition. Lurker's gonna deploy, but that was very good for Soulkey to not deploy all of his Lurkers, because he knows that they will get eaten up by the storm. He need to cast one more storm. Looks like it's not gonna get deployed. Dragoons need to fall back, and Lurker's gonna start attack, but there are just way too many Protoss high energy, high temper units waiting here. There's still a lurker, and that lurker is not yet been destroyed. The Defiler is still alive, not yet sniped, and Soulkey's gonna come forward. 173 supply for Soulkey, and this Defiler is a nightmare to deal with. So in the semi-finals, we'll be looking forward to Snow's, some inventive strategy to deal with these late-game lurkers thing. I mean, he used to play a lot of Reavers back in season 17 of ASL, but I don't see those strategy being used anymore. So that's going to be a problem. Nice attack once again, and that lurker is still alive. That lurker in the backside, and that Archon is not able to do damage because you need to have another unit in the area if you want to deal damage to it. Another lurker dies, but now looks like Zerg is going to reach this area. And I'd really like to see Snow trying to slip a Dark Templar towards the 12 o'clock position, because he knows that around this time the Zerg would take another base. Good storm, because yeah, I guess sometimes it's kind of very, very hard for you to manage different armies and different priorities. And looks like the lurker line is going to come through, but there's going to be some Zelle in the middle of the map. These lurkers are doing good, and now they're going to be on the high ground. If Snow has got a shuttle right now, he will be able to reinforce nicely. Wow, Zealot's moving through, but I mean, Soulkey's economy is booming. 185 supply, and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases, right? 3, 4, yeah, 7 bases. And now I think this 6 o'clock position might fall unless we have something in the air to reinforce it. You could easily enforce it with the shuttle. You can land 4 high templars, and that will be just enough to hold it. But it looks like Snow is not going to be going for shuttle play this game. He's going to be going mainly for ground forces, and I think all for good reasons, because both of these players are waiting. And yeah, why doesn't this Dark Templar attack the 12 o'clock position? It's much easier. But maybe he doesn't know about it. Anyways, his Dark Templar is going to get pushed back. It's going to be some nice attack, and we might have a storm against those 3 lurkers. Looks like Soulkey is waiting to plan them out. Where's the lurker? Maybe the Dark Templar, maybe it died, maybe it didn't. I'm not so sure. But anyways, some good storms. The Observer in the right position to spot 186 supply is a good supply, number, I think, for Soulkey. And once again, Soulkey sees the Dark Templar. I mean, this is a mark of a great Zerg. Not just attacking, but always checking for presence of random stuff. He's had to attack now. More storms gonna come out, and Zealot need to pull back before they cast the storm. Good attack. The Defiler is still alive. We're gonna be having a plague that eats up all of those Zealot, and Snow is not controlling his army. He's moving the Zealot into the lurker line, but at the last minute he's gonna pull back, which is nice. And then finally Soulkey is gonna have some static defense. You need to have static defense as a Zerg player in the late game, especially in your frontier bases, the bases that could be susceptible to attack. There's another lurker is gonna come through. Orc is gonna get sniped. And Soulkey once again is almost maxed out. He's got enough sunkens in various locations. More Zerglings, Cracklings moving through, and this might be the final battle. I'm not looks like the fighter's gonna cast a great attack here. Cannon's gonna go up. We have a single Archon that will be buying time. Lurker's gonna unburrow themselves, and where are they going exactly? Maybe towards the front, maybe towards the back. I'm not so sure. More Lurkers coming through, and once again Snow is able to hold his side, but Snow doesn't have another base. That's his problem. A main attack in the middle, and Snow's gonna get pushed back. I mean, you cannot just attack with ground. And one more thing that we have not noticed is that the Zerg has not been using Nidus Canal, which I think was interesting because Nidus Canals are not that expensive. They're very cheap, and I feel like you could easily use Nidus Canal. Anyways, this nice attack is looking deadly, unless Snow has got something to deal with it. He's not casting his storms on those cannon line. Some nice a lot attacking here, and yeah, this Nahastri is gonna fall. Looks like Snow is able to regain his 6 o'clock base. His ground army is gonna reinforce the Nexus at the 10 o'clock position is gonna fall, but yeah, I'm not so sure that it's gonna be a nice game here, nice ending here for Snow. Soulkey comes through with more forces. He's always a little bit ahead, I feel, with his army composition, with his economy. He's always winning some major battles and pushing Snow back. And now the Hydra's gonna try to more than Zealot. Zealot need to pull back, and I think Snow's slow APM is one of the things that kind of contributed to his mid to late game failures. He's not able to manage his army as good as the enemy. He's much better in the early game where Shadow and Reavers control and those kind of small number units control is easier to manage. And now the Defiler is going to come through. Great trades between these two players. Keep in mind the game is not yet over for Snow. He could regain this middle area, and he actually can plant some nexus at the top left sometimes in the future. And as Soulkey, if he wants to sustain his war economy, he needs to build a base at the top left. And that is going to be, something we're going to be looking forward to. And maybe Soulkey's also thinking about that in the future. But for now, he's just concentrating on getting his maxed out army to use some good storms. And one lurker is going to deploy. I really like the fact that Soulkey just put one lurker down. He cannot just put them all back, because putting them all back, he would lose that position that he's, fought for in a very expensive manner. Anyways, crazy attack. We have enough Dark Swamp. Possibly we're going to be having a storm. The Lurker is going to be in position. A single Zealot is not going to be able to buy time. He's not casting a storm. Zealot's going to be coming from the back. He needs to actually get there before the cannons all fall out and all fell to Lurker attack. Looks like the last minute, Snow once again clear his 6 o'clock base with very strong Zealot and Archon control, which is nice here. More attack and massive Zealot. At this stage, you don't need to make Dragoons. Just Zealot, High Templar, Archon's Observer, and go. That is going to be the key to victory here. But Crackling's coming through, and without the support of Lurkers, they're kind of weak against the Archon as well, which is going to be something we're going to be looking for. I guess this base is going to come up. Zealot's going to attack. We're going to be having a storm against those 3 Hydras. It looks like there's going to be one Lurker coming from the back, and Snow once again has overextended his stay. He's going to get pushed back and try to go to the high ground here. Where's the rest of Snow's major army? And Snow has GG'd! The game has been won by Soulkey. If you enjoyed this video, buy me, comment, and it's going to be individual soon. As you soon. Bye-bye.